just real quick on this.
Luxon,
Our local media, like I thought it when we watched Mikey Sherman's report yesterday on this COVID inquiry, and I've seen it repeated in every single media outlet today. They have taken the bait on this hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
There is not one fucking person doing a good job. They are just taking the government's talking points wholesale and regurgitating it. It is bullshit. They have all failed.
Well, let's have a little listen to the man who makes up words as our Prime Minister for a couple of minutes, maybe, and then we'll tap out for the night.
Do you think that they should have summoned the former Prime Minister and Chris Hipkins and the other ministers who have refused to show publicly?
Well, let's be clear, they summons them, they refuse to show, and I think that's not right. We've just gone through the biggest economic challenge this country.
They didn't refuse to show, and it's very clear today, and this is one of the reasons that they can't be summoned, because the QC has the opportunity to do that, but the only way they can do that legally is to summon them and make them come, is if they're refusing to give answers. And what they've all said is, we will give you all the information you need. You can have access to all of the transcripts we've already done, and we will give you anything more you need. We're just not going to be put into a 3-ring circus. That's what they're saying. And you know what? Yeah. I know I said last night, I was pondering, are you either going to get to say your words and have them twisted, or not say your words and have them twisted? But I'm like, think about it over 24 hours. Fair enough. They don't want to go into a 3-ring circus. And they don't, and all their answers are already there. And so they are actually cooperating. They're just not quite doing exactly what this government wants them to do. And yeah, because Chewie, what you're saying is right, because there's no questions in this stand-up where anyone goes, but they have already given all the answers once, that doesn't come out at any stage. So yeah. I learned something talking to Craig Rennie that I hadn't known, and I'm all over this. So imagine what most of the public's like. Most of the public aren't going to have a clue. And remember, this is the most telling one. Chippy said, I set 2 hours aside to speak to them. That's what they asked for. And they, quote, ran out of questions after an hour. So this investigation that they're setting up, this thing that they're getting out there, they don't even have the ability to use the full 2 hours that they say they want, because there's nothing to see here. I will play some more of this though, because one of the reporters does ask quite a good question that, like, other ministers before have refused to turn up to various times. Who was it? Was it Shaw who wouldn't go to the Waitangi Tribunal? That happens all the time. What's so different about this? And it's a fair question to ask.
Country's had in a generation. It was clear from last week, that there was reckless economic vandalism, frankly, that has created and made the cost of living crisis worse. The actions of the Labour government made the current cost of living and the pain and suffering that New Zealanders are experiencing worse. Yeah, that's a fact. That's what happened with respect to the Treasury report last week.
It's not a fact.
And that would be the nature of where I imagine the COVID
inquiry
wants to go as well. And I just think, frankly...
I'll let you have it as an opinion, Mr. Luxon. But, as we know from Kellyanne Conway, there's no such thing as alternative facts. You can have an opinion, fine. Okay? Now let's debate that. It's not a fact.
He should step up, and he should show some responsibility and actually present at that commission, that Royal Commission.
Do you think it was fair that some of the reasons they gave, that if they were...
But just remember again, he should present at that Royal Commission. He has. He has presented at the Royal Commission. But, Mr. Luxon, you are saying that he should appear again, aren't you? Because you agree he's already presented. He's already done it. In fact, he went in for a 2-hour conversation and they only needed him for an hour. Correct?
Were to appear like that on a live stream, that it could have been used to fuel misinformation?
No, I think there's a point about accountability and responsibility. And I appreciate that Chris Hipkins wants to get away from the record politically, but actually... That we
supported.
Yes.
That we voted alongside and supported all the way through until we thought it politically expedient for us not to. That we were on board with all the way through.
We've just gone through a very calamitous time in New Zealand economically, and it has caused huge suffering for New Zealanders.
Look, I'll put this out there to you guys, because we don't have all the time to do all the things. I would pay someone to go through all the votes taken through the COVID period and get us the information that shows exactly how everybody voted all the way through. Because these guys supported all the stuff that they're now accusing the former government of doing. They were on board. I need to find that information. and I may not have time to do it. If someone wants to do that research for me, email me, mail@blindfish.nz, and I'll pay someone to do that.
Low and middle income working people in particular, but all New Zealanders are going through it. The level of spending that drove up inflation and interest rates that put the economy into recession, that now has had people lose their jobs, is a really serious thing.
Just keep
and if
repeating
you read
it, bro.
dispassionately that Treasury report from last week, and the point of actually coming out and actually having a commission that can actually explore those issues and the actions that were taken that actually made the cost of living crisis worse for New Zealanders, I think that's an important thing, because we have all lived through this pain and suffering. We're now to a point, that's Chris Hipkins. He has to be accountable and responsible for the record and for his government and for the actions that they undertook to make the cost of living worse. But going forward, we've been in this government role now for over 18 months, and our job is, and my job is I got to deal with that mess, and I got to clean it up, and I got to fix it, and that's what we're working so.
And you realise that you are throwing a cinder block to the drowning man. You do realise that's what you're doing. I'm sure.
Hard to do, and that's why we're here today. One part of it is getting growth in the construction sector, and that's through infrastructure.
Well, ministers have decided not to show up to previous royal commissions. There's considered that the evidence they've given has been enough. What makes it different about this one, that it's so important that these former ministers do show up? Yeah, look, I think you've seen statements that actually just deny outright the Treasury report from last week, that the $66 billion that was spent that actually led to nothing. Didn't lead to better roads, schools, hospitals, wasn't actually linked to the COVID inquiry, was more than we'd spent in the GFC and through other periods of our time. There's no doubt about it. There was economic mismanagement on a scale that drove a cost of living crisis into New Zealand, and that is a fact.
Bunch of
and of course we always have to
bullshit.
You always have to remember as well that cost of living crisis, it was only New Zealand and only Jacinda Ardern. Oh no, sorry, it was the whole world, and she impacted all those countries. That's what it was. Craig Rennie told us something really interesting yesterday about the Treasury report. One of the reasons our numbers look different, and I'm not going to use the word worse, but different from other countries, is we labelled all of our COVID response stuff COVID response. And so it looks like we've spent a lot more on the COVID response in other countries. Other countries did very similar things, but they didn't label those things. Label. I got there. Label those things as their COVID response. They labeled them as other things. So yes, it has this look of what it is, but if you go and have a look at all the other countries and what they did all the same things, but that number 3 on the list, number 5 on the list, number 9 on the list, they weren't labelled COVID response by Australia, as an example, but they were by New Zealand, so it looks like New Zealand spent more. But this is the information. Look, on some level, actually, Chewie, it's probably not the place of the journalist at a stand-up to get into an argument with the Prime Minister. But it is the place
I
to have...
strongly disagree.
Well, I mean... It does feel like there are. I disagree, because I'd like to do that too. But as I was listening to that, I was just sitting there thinking, going, "What's their job? Is it just to record what the Prime Minister is saying and take it back to the editors to look after, or is it to do a Jack Tame at every stand-up?" I don't like it, but I think probably in the news world there's a job for recording what you see and taking it back, and there's a job for debating and pushing back. I would like to see more debate and pushback, but I'm going to give them 1% grace to kind of go, these are probably they won't be the junior reporters, will they? But anyway, I'm just thinking, when does that question get asked? Is it there and then, or is it with
Jack Tame in various flavors, and just have him there?
Chocolate.
Chocolate Jack.
I'd have a chocolate Jack Tame, thanks.
Strawberry blonde.
Okay.
But imagine that, because that was an uninterrupted ideological rant. Game recognizes game. That wasn't objective reasoning. That wasn't based in reality. Like, that needed someone with maybe a megaphone to go, citation needed, you slaphead cunt. What are you talking about?
I actually, I love you, and I agree with you, but I also know that what you've just identified as a long-winded ideological rant would be each news outlet getting a 6-second clip, eh? It was a 1-minute ideological rant because we played all of it. That's not what the news guys would do with it. Anyway, it's look, don't give me too much grief. All right, I know we're twins tonight, so we're not allowed to argue.
A better world is possible, Pat. A better world where reporters get triggered by the Prime Minister in an attempt to tackle him and put him in the hole that he's just dug.